Dear students, today we are going to discuss about the recovery techniques based on immediate update. In the last class we have discussed about the recovery techniques based on deferred update. Now we are going to discuss the recovery technique based on immediate update, and that one of the technique under that immediate update is shadow paging and database backup and recovery from catastrophic failures, how it will be handled. That we are going to discuss over here. So the recovery techniques based on immediate update is immediate update we know before the commit point is reached the database will be stored. Okay, so database can be updated immediately. Now it won't wait until the commit operation is be performed. No need to wait for the transaction to reach the commit point. Not a requirement that every update be immediate. So undo type log entries must be stored here. What are the recovery algorithms used here means the undo redo, that is steal and force strategy. Undo redo, steal no force strategy is used under this immediate update. So the shadow paging also one of the technique recovery technique will come under immediate update. Here the log is not maintained. There is a single user environment, not a multi-user. No log is required in the single user environment. So log may be when it is needed means in the multi-user environment for the concurrency control operation it is required. So shadow paging considers disk to be made up of n fixed size disk pages that we know. There is a magnetic disk, there only the database should be stored. That will be considered as a that is a fixed size disk blocks, n fixed size disk blocks, disk pages. That pages only the database corresponding database will be stored. Entries. Directory with n entries are constructed. When transaction begins the execution, directory copied into shadow directory to save while current directory is being used. So then once transaction starts, so that current directory will be copied into shadow directory. What are the operations we are performing that will be updated in current directory? The shadow directory will be having the data which is updated during the beginning of the transaction. No other updation should be done in the shadow directory. Shadow directory is never modified. Once it is initialized during the transaction begins, it won't be modified. So here the problem is, so any changes happened in the data, so that will be stored separately in the disk phase, not overwriting the data. Okay, so here we'll take here we are having the current directory. There are 6 pages over them. The main disk it is there, page 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and 6. 6 pages are there in the database disk blocks. We have used the pages, and then once this process transaction starts, so this 6 pages we are using, that 6 pages are transferred to the buffer, and at the same time that current directory data are updated to the shadow directory. That means all 6 pages are in the shadow directory pointer, that will points to the 6 pages what we have referred in the disk. Same thing current directory also same thing will be pointing. Now the modification should be done in the page 2 and page 5. Modification on the run in the page 2 and page 5. In that situation, the current directory will be pointing that page 2 and page 5 modification done means the page 2 and page 5 data are updated means that updated data will be stored in separate location in the disk, not the overwriting the data stored in the already. So it will be stored separately in the disk. So that now the current directory will point to the new the data. That is page 2 and page 5 it will point to the new data, but shadow directory will point to the old data only. So here what is the advantage over here means, if any transaction fails, so it will take the data which is pointed by the shadow directory. If transaction is successful, that current directory updation should be taken. Okay, these are advantages of shadow paging. So what is the failure recovery means, discard current directory will be discarded and shadow directory will be taken. That is easily modified by the database with no undo, no redo technique. Okay, this is the thing. And shadow paging advantage is no overhead of writing log records. Log records are not used here, no. Recovery is trivial, that is because of that only we are using shadow directory and main directory, current directory. What are the disadvantages means, so copying the entire page table is very expensive. Entire page table is copied over there, then so this is an expensive one. Commit overhead is high. Need to plus every updated data and page table, that it should be there. And data gets fragmented. It's page by disk, the disk only the page fragmentation we are using. No? After every transaction is completed, the database pages containing old version of modified data need to be moved to the garbage. Otherwise, it will be dumped over there. If transaction fails means that shadow directory data should be taken, the remaining should be removed. If it is success also, that old version of the data should be removed and moved to the garbage. So hard to extend the algorithm to allow transactions to run concurrently. Okay, that is not possible here, the shadow paging technique. So then next thing we are going to see about database backup and recovery from catastrophic failure. Catastrophic failure, only solution is periodic backup. Okay, so in the backup how we can take with the inexpensive storage medium, because periodically we want to take backup, so that inexpensive storage medium is good. Only for non-catastrophic failures we can use these different techniques. Okay.